Joanne. How are you today?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Craig.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, likewise.
We had a chat last time a bit about what I do, and I was wondering a little bit about what you do. And as a buyer's agent, I, it throws lots of things in my mind around what that could mean. And
Mm,
I was just wondering, what what do you do every day as a buyer's agent? What do you do, and
yeah,
how do you find information around
it's
things?
that's an excellent question. Buyer's agent is a relatively new concept in Australia, and it will be a growing entity in the real estate agent space.
Right.
Um, I see it as a terrific asset that's being that we're going into this space, that we represent the client, the purchaser of a property.
Yep.
Um, the the dollar cost value around property is so high now in Australia, and what I'm finding is when I'm working with my clients, they don't really know where to begin. They just think, oh, well, we've got our finance. Okay, we'll start shopping on Domain or real estate, and we'll
Mm.
find our dream property, and it'll be all easy and good. What they encounter is this whole process that there's so many moving parts, and you need so much data and uh, well written information to make an informed decision about
Mm.
purchase price, how do I do it, and who are the key stakeholders, basically, and whether you're buying into a problem.
Right.
Um, I see my role as I create a team around my client. So we work as a team. So I work intimately with their finance, whoever they're doing their finance through. If they don't have finance, I find them somebody who can help their particular situation, because not all of our own individual situations are very, very different,
Mm.
and need that personal touch. We find a solicitor or a conveyancer, depending on the complexity of the transaction. Sometimes you do need that higher entity. Sometimes if you're just transacting, a conveyancer will suffice. I think around the unit space or living under strata, um, I live under strata.
Mm.
And when I first stepped into that space, I was I found it very confronting. There's
Why
a
is
lot.
that?
There's a lot to know about strata. That what
Right.
does strata mean? How does it look? How does it feel? And so, from a buyer's agent's point of view, I educate my client on buying into strata. Now, living under strata, it can be a fantastic experience, as long as you know that that you're satisfied that you've done your due diligence around the purchase. So, what I mean by that is, okay, the overlying umbrella is the strata, the owners corporation. You got to find out a lot of information about that. Do they have money? What are the levies? Uh, the harmony of the building is another thing, because you are living in community living. So you want to make sure that when you're buying into that space, that you're not buying into a very highly conflicted owners corporation
So
where
do you go undercover? Do you like
I wish I could sometimes sit in on meetings and go, ooh, okay. Um,
just plant little
no.
cameras, little microphones around the place to see
Yeah,
people are listening? Yeah.
yeah, that's right. So
It'd be hard to do though, wouldn't it?
it is, yeah. Look, and it's getting the information out of the building. So um, generally, first point of call is you walk the building. You
Mm.
can generally tell what's going on very, very quickly by the state of the common properties.
Right.
Common property. So you walk around the building, you go have a look at the garbage areas, you look at the car parking situation, you see if there's anything broken on the property,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really dated, if there's scaffolding going on outside the property.
Well, that's a
Hey,
good
what's
sign.
going on?
Yeah.
You have to ask questions. I
Yeah.
saw a building just recently and it had all this scaffolding, but just on the top 3 layers. And I thought, I wonder what's going on here. Anyway, did some investigation. No roof maintenance,
Right.
flooded the penthouse, and then went down 2 other levels.
Yeah.
And so no one was taking responsibility, and they end up in court. So highly litigious, going on for 2 years. You just don't want to buy into that building.
No,
because they obviously haven't rectified it. They haven't been able to come around a decision who's responsible, who's paying, etc. So that's why it usually ends up in court. But
and one of the things that I think we touched on another time was that you always have your radar out for the value of the building.
Definitely, yes.
We live in Sydney, which in my mind is just crackers as far as costs. The cost of living, everything is just bad. But if a building or a unit in a particular area, you'd be able to go, actually, that's a bit lower than I would have thought.
Yeah, the value of the property, is that if it's in a really sought after location or a prestigious location or has beautiful aspects, and it's just a little bit that cheap compared to other properties in the market, you sort of go, oh, okay, what's going on here? What I've found is the value of the unit is in direct relationship to the Capital Works Fund and the issues that need to be done in the building. So usually the lower purchase price on the property can equate to higher strata fees, so quarterly levies, or watch out for special levies. Reading the AGM minutes and minutes of committee meetings, if you can get a hold of them, can give you an insight. But you have to probably go back 5 years, because a decision taken 5 years ago about, say, window replacement, they have to slowly keep building up the money in the Capital Works Fund. But if they don't and they need to do the immediate replacement or repair, then a special levy has to be struck. And all owners have to agree to pay that. And sometimes that doesn't happen, and then it triggers a tribunal order. One of the owners will, and it only takes one owner, can make an application to tribunal and just say, I need the windows fixed, I want them replaced. And everybody, if the tribunal orders it, well, it has to be done.
Right.
So there's things like that where
living in strata.
Yeah. But I think from what we talked about before with the service that you provide, the data that is in the Capital Works Fund and long-term planning of the maintenance of the building is so crucial, on top of all the other information you need to have, because the life of a building is nothing lasts forever. Everything always needs maintenance. And if it's a newer build, it should probably need less, but that doesn't always happen either. But then if you go into these old Art Deco buildings, they will have rising damp. They'll probably need repointing brickwork, sagging roofs if it's a pitched roof. All those kind of things need to be taken into consideration, and I think from my client's point of view, I give them all of that information so they can make a better informed decision instead of just walking and going, oh, God, I've fallen in love with this property, I just really need to buy it. And I just go, well, hang on a second, just park that thought. Let's have a look of actually what's going on and what you can deal with it. But sometimes special levies are good,
Right, okay.
Because, you can see the work's getting done.
Right, yeah.
Probably get a better outcome. I think the worst thing that could happen is you buy into a building and nothing's been done, and then, hello, you've got long-term special levies, which some people can't afford it. Like they just, and then you can't sell it, and then the value of the property has gone down and changed. So it's just that whole dynamics of, what a buyer's agent should be providing for their client is that you know,
So does the buyer's agent?
long-term asset they're buying. It's not. They're not.
Yeah.
They're usually buying their home. You know.
Yeah, and it's a really valuable piece of work for anybody. I mean, you can only imagine poor people who end up in a situation where they've not done the DD and they're sat there going, "Oh no, this is the worst possible move I could have ever had." You know,
Exactly.
it's terrible.
Yeah, and you can't get out of it. But even for an investor, you know, you would be wanting to buy a quality asset that's going to go up in value, and it's someone saying hello. Yeah. So even from like majority of investors would buy into a strata plan.
Yeah.
You know, because it's good rental. It's usually a long-term rental, but if they're being issued with, you know, please pay, you know, special levies or a huge increase in the levies.
But if you were doing a DD then on it and you went, look, I want to see what your capital works fund, is it law that you can get to see that, or is it, how does that work? Is it, well, you can request it, no doubt, can't you? But
yeah, well, you can request it. You usually have to pay for it. It's not freely available.
Right. Okay.
You know, some vendors, when they're selling, are encouraged to provide a strata report. There are applications now where buy before you bid. You can access reports and pay a low cost thing, but usually the Capital Works Fund is not included in that.
Wow.
Yeah, they just give you the bare basics, and so if you need to go do further investigation, you know, everyone should have one, but they're not necessarily always updated on time.
So the harmony of the building.
Yep.
The neighbours, obviously. How is the building looking and performing at the moment, and what do you think your liabilities are going forward?
Yeah, and if there's money in the Capital Works Fund, you know, if there's a low balance or a zero balance, bit of a flag. What's happened? They might have had a huge unforeseen cost.
Yeah,
it's wiped it out, and they have to rebuild it up again. But if you usually have a happy balance in there, you can sort of say, you know, from the admin, what it costs to run the building annually compared to what's in the Capital Works Fund. You can usually make a judgment call about what's happening there just by numbers. But then you also want to always put it aside, any kind of meeting minutes and AGM notes to make a proper assessment about all of that.
Yeah. No, that's answered my question very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll be getting a buyer's agent when I need one.
Well, I think it's great. I mean, I've been on both sides of the transaction, and I'm highly passionate about this. That's why I have become a buyer's agent. I've seen what can go wrong, and I just don't think it's fair. If you're spending $1 million on a unit, $1 million is a lot of money.
Hell of a lot of money.
A lot of money. Yeah.
Thanks, Anne. Nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you.